These tips reinforce the basics, and going over these every once in a while will make you a better hunter. Number 1. Decide which way you're going to avoid taking damage and equip one skill to help with this. I see too many people running full meta sets and completely neglecting defensive skills. You also don't jump out of a plane without a parachute just because your plan was to go fast, and yet y'all brought 10 things to go faster than lightning but forgot something to stop your fall. So decide which way is best for your weapon to avoid damage and add one armor skill to help with it. The 3 most common ways are rolling through attacks, evasion, rolling away from attacks, evade extender, or guarding. Guard. Use this to not only avoid taking damage but also increase attack opportunities. Number 2. Observe monsters to learn their patterns and hold back if a monster is angry if you are really struggling. That's right, creep on them more than your high school crush back in the day.
It doesn't get any better than this.
Yeah, I know you did. Doing an observation hunt can help you figure out a monster's patterns better. However, when a monster becomes angry, their patterns will slightly change. They will attack faster and perform multiple attacks on one person. I hope you're no longer comparing to your crush. Count the attacks and make sure your health is topped up. If the monster is angry and you already died once or twice, wait with attacking till the rage of the monster is over. You're often taking unnecessary risks. Number 3. Eat for resistances that your armor is lacking. That's right, eat your vegetables, kids. Unless y'all ever met someone who likes scurvy. You would be surprised how much low or even negative elemental resistances affect the damage you take. But sometimes it's hard to change this, either because you don't have the decorations to slot in more resistance, can't miss any other skills, or can't swap out armor because of certain mandatory skills. That is when eating for a particular resistance can be a solution. Just make sure you don't die even once or you'll lose the buff. Eating for feline foodie fixes this. Number 4. Learn to play other weapons, mainly greatsword. Yup, you too, weeb. Go touch something other than longsword for once, and touch some grass while you're at it. Learning other weapons will give you new insights on how to approach situations. The reason I advise greatsword in particular is because mastering the greatsword requires a lot of monster knowledge, because you need to start your attacks before the monster is done with its animation. This will force you to think ahead and learn monster patterns, which will later be helpful for all other weapons. Number 5. Don't line up with teammates. I can't stress this one enough, probably the most underrated advice. Some of y'all make it seem like you're out to get others killed. Monster Hunter is essentially a turn-based game. You wait for the animation of a monster to finish and then you strike. This also means that if you play multiplayer, the best moment to heal is right after a monster is done attacking you. Problem is, however, that if the monster then decides to attack your friend, he needs to make sure that he doesn't line up with you while you're healing, because you've got less mobility whilst healing. This is probably the number 1 way people die at higher levels, and it can't be stressed enough. Number 6. Make anti-builds. I see a lot of people make builds based on either one skill or on elemental damage, and this is fine. However, if you really want to make your hunts easier, and I highly advise this if you're having trouble with some monster, make builds to counter one particular monster. An example would be my anti-wrath set. This is called anti-wrath because it works for both Raytheon and Rathalos, as they just happen to require the same skills. Ask yourself, what do these monsters do? They poison you. Get anti-poison. Wind? Get wind resistance. Fire damage? Fire resistance. Hotel? Trivago. Also add an elemental weapon that they are weak to and the matching element attack up skill. These sets lead to a guaranteed easier time with these monsters and are particularly helpful if you struggle with a monster. Number 7. Take items to improve your hunts. This one seems obvious, but often people forget that there are more items than just your potions and traps. For example, there are flash bombs which work well on flying enemies, dung bombs that work to separate monsters or prevent monsters from pinning people down, smoke bombs for if you can't use dung bombs, forecasters to teleport you back to base, and there are life powders that heal teammates and berries that cure ailments. Creating item sets for specific monsters or quests makes this a lot easier to do without forgetting anything. Number 8. There are more options than you might think, so experiment with skills. Experimenting with skills is not only useful but also keeps the game fun in the long run. Monster Hunter is a long grind, but any grind is only fun as long as you work towards a goal. So find weapons or armor that you would like to make, so you've got something to grind for. This keeps your builds optimal and varied and keeps the game fun. The wishlist function makes this easier to do than ever before. If you ever find yourself struggling, come back to this video to make sure you're doing everything right. It reinforces the essentials and makes sure you're a better hunter. Don't forget to show some love to the channel, and with that said, thanks for watching.
You're the one who told me I could do anything if I just put my mind to it.
Well, now that you're a little bit older, I can tell you that's a crock. No matter how good you are at something, there's always about 1 million people better than you.
Gotcha. Can't win, don't try.